This is really hard to process. I can't express how shocked I am by this. Like, yeah, shaking. Don't know how to handle this. There's been a development. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hello, how are you? It's been a few weeks since I have uploaded a video on this channel, and there's a lot of reasons for that I will get to throughout the course of this video. I'm struggling to kind of like organize my thoughts, and because I have a lot of stuff to update you guys on, and I guess I'm gonna start with Camp Nano because I left off super excited to get into writing the first draft of my book. Still super excited, that hasn't changed. But here's the first thing that happened. I realized pretty much on day one, April 1st, that I had no idea what I was doing setting a goal of 50,000 words for this book for this month. If I had stopped to like give that even a tiny bit of thought, I would have realized that was an unrealistic expectation, not because I can't write 50,000 words in a month, I can, but because this is going to be like a first draft that should be ready to go to beta readers when it's completed with a little bit of tweaking. You know, I already wrote a zero draft, so it's kind of a second draft. And this is the draft where I'm really finding the voice, and finding the voice takes time. It's not the kind of writing I can do very fast unless it's something that I'm very familiar with, like writing middle grade, specifically middle grade contemporary and middle grade fantasy, because that's just what I do as a ghostwriter the most, and I can slip into that really quickly. But this book is different for all the reasons you guys have heard me talk about before. It's for a different audience, it's an adult fiction, it's a new genre for me. I was gonna have to take my time and find that voice, and I was setting a goal of writing 2,500 words a day, and like I knew, especially in the first few days, that's not what I was gonna do. So I went through and changed my goal for Camp Nano. My goal is now 20,000 words, and I'm a quarter of the way there. And if I write 1,000 words per day from now till the end of the month, I will make that goal, and that'll take me pretty close to Act 2, I think. I should get to like the break into Act 2 part if I can do that around that scene. So that will be a great accomplishment for this month. So that was a huge relief. It just, you know, it just makes a difference when you go into your calendar and actually make those changes. I know I can easily write 1,000 words a day, even if I have a lot of other stuff to do. For example, this morning I, you know, sat down, I started writing, 45 minutes passed, and I realized I had already written 500 words, and I was like, oh, hey, I'm halfway there. It's very quick, it's very easy, and here's the good news. I am about 5,000 words in, and I just really love what I have so far. It was absolutely worth taking the time and finding that voice. It's really, truly turning into exactly the kind of the book that I had envisioned it to be, you know. As I was working on this, I realized that there is something I do when I'm trying to find voice. Voice is one of those elusive topics, and for me as like a teacher especially, it's maybe the hardest thing for me to teach. Like the best advice I can ever give anyone is just read. Please read a lot and read for voice, and ask yourself like, oh, I love the voice in this book. Why? What did the author do? What is it about the voice that I like? But again, that's so elusive. And I realized I do actually have one very concrete tip for you, and I apologize in advance because this is going to involve kind of like a humble brag, but this is how I came up with it. So years ago when Olive and the Backstage Ghost came out, I got a review in School Library Journal. It was a very good review, but it had this one line at the end, and it says, Schusterman's language is haunting and elegant, filling the narrative with prose poems that float like ghosts themselves. And when I read that, I was like, because one, that's just a beautiful thing to say. I mean, like, props to this reviewer for turning a very beautiful phrase. And second, because I was just incredibly flattered. I mean, that was, and I still think is today, the best compliment I've ever had on my prose itself, you know? But I think the reason it really hit me was that I never would have thought to word it that way, but that was exactly what I was going for when I started writing that draft. When I was in this phase of, what's the voice? What do I want this to sound like? What am I going for here? And that's what gave me this kind of little prompt that I do now, and that I'm going to give to you so you can do it as well if you struggle to find voice. And that is this: imagine the most glowing, perfect, over the moon review of your book that you could ever, like, in your wildest dreams. You get a review in the New York Times and it's like, just dream big, okay? What does that review say about your voice, about your prose? And write it down, 1 or 2 sentences. What would be like the absolute ultimate end all be all, greatest compliment anybody could ever pay this specific book? What do you want reviewers to be saying? This is what this book's voice is like. Write that down and keep it near you as you work. And anytime, especially in the early stages with those first few chapters when you're trying to figure it out, anytime you find yourself trying to come up with the right metaphor or just figuring out how to shape something you're trying to say, if you're feeling like you're flailing, you're not quite getting it, go back and look at those lines. Remind yourself, what's your dream review say? What is the best compliment that could be paid to your future finished version of this book? And for me, at least, that helps me remember, oh, this is what I'm going for, and it kind of guides me back in the right direction. I don't know. It works for me. I hope that's helpful for you. So that's really what I spent the first week of Camp Nano doing. I did not get a lot of words written, but I found the style, the tone, the voice that I was going for, and that was a massive accomplishment. And now that I found it, I do think I'm going to gradually pick up speed on the word count, but I'm not pressed about it, okay? So that was week 1 of Nano. Now let's talk about the other development this week. And that is that Rosa has a foster brother. Buddy, come here. So this is Buddy, and he is an 8-year-old lab, obviously. He is absolutely the sweetest, most gentle, loving little dog you've ever seen. When we picked him up, I was like, I think this about, we've fostered dogs in the past, and I always think this, but I'm like, how has this baby not found a home yet? Well, we did learn a little lesson yesterday. I'll get to that later. Okay. So I've mentioned this before, but this is not the first time we've fostered or boarded dogs. In fact, we did this a ton when we were in New York. And I've talked before about our foster dog, Jake, that we ended up foster failing and being kind of hospice fosters for when we first moved to Texas back in 2019. We've been talking for a while about when we'll foster again, and it's really been kind of all on me to make the call because I'm the one who works from home, and I'm doing most of the taking care of them. So I'd been watching Cane Rosso is the rescue center we work with. They are absolutely wonderful. Could not recommend them more highly. And I watched their Instagram page, and actually a couple weeks ago they had a puppy who was looking for a foster home, and I messaged them about it, but it was too late. Somebody scooped him up. But I was starting to feel like, okay, ready to do this again. If you're wondering why it took me so long, it's because, like I said, with Jake, who we fostered after our 15-year-old lab passed away, he ended up having a terminal illness, and we were kind of, we were hospice fosters, and he passed away after we had him for most of the summer, and I think he passed away in October. So it was just rough. It was a hard experience. We did not know he was terminal when we took him in, but then of course, once we found out he was, we were not gonna like turn him into a shelter or give him to another. He was with us, and that was that. So I don't know, I guess you could say, I don't want to over exaggerate, but it was like I was mildly traumatized after that, and I was like, we have Rosa, healthy young puppy, and I don't know, I didn't have it. It took me a while to get up the, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, to just be ready to do it again. We saw Buddy pop up on their Instagram page, and I was just like, how, this is perfect. Rosa would love to have a fellow lab around to play with. Let's go for it. So we went and got Buddy last Wednesday. We did technically do a meet and greet first, although I think everybody involved knew that we were just going to take him home because it's rare that two labs don't just hit it off instantly. And sure enough, Rosa and Buddy were immediate best friends. We took them home and it was hard playtime every morning, all afternoon. I mean, they just were absolutely instantly thick as thieves, and Rosa seriously could not be happier. I was really kind of curious what she'd be like reacting to having a dog in the apartment. Like, would this make her in any way weird? Is she gonna get like food defensive or anything? Nope. She's just totally ecstatic. So the people that had him before us had told us that he had some pretty serious storm anxiety, and that's really common in dogs. Rosa does not like thunderstorms. She'll shake, she'll tremble, she'll hide under my desk or like go in her crate and try to get tucked into somewhere small and safe. And you know, that's what I was thinking. Maybe it would be a little harder than that. Well, okay. So that brings us to yesterday morning, and we had a not even that big for Texas thunderstorm. Like, thunderstorms in Texas can get real. And this was a pretty mild one. I don't have any footage to show you of this because I was losing my mind, but this dude was climbing the walls. There's a little bit of damage done to some of our doors, nothing too serious, thankfully, but I tried to put him in the crate because he likes the crate at night, and often he'll go in there during the day just to nap by himself. And I put him in there while I was in the shower because I didn't want to leave him just out. And I don't know how he did it, but he Incredible Hulked out of that thing. Like, it locks on the outside, and he got the door open, and there were bolts and screws that lock the top part down to the bottom part on the floor. It was wild. I ended up just calling the rescue center and being like, I don't know what to do. And to be clear, it wasn't in an aggressive way, in that like I felt like he was gonna hurt me or Rosa. Not at all. Just he didn't know how to handle himself, and every time the thunder would boom, it was just like complete panic attack, lizard brain taking over kind of thing. I brought him to the vet, and they prescribed trazodone. If you are a dog owner or a cat owner, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's like, I think, a very common sedative that we give pets sometimes if they have storm anxiety, travel anxiety, etc. And he's also been not nearly on that level, but he's been having issues at night, like anxiety issues. He just, not climbing the walls at all, but he doesn't sleep, which is, I knew had to be just him adjusting to life in a new place. Because we go on like 5 to 7 miles of walks a day, and him and Rosa are playing all day. He gets a lot of activity, especially for an 8-year-old, and he should be sleeping through the night, but he just was not. He was up constantly and like trying to get us up. I would take him outside and he didn't need to do anything. It was just anxiety. So the vet said, try a half dose of this sedative tonight, even though there's no storms, and see how he does. And I did, and last night, I'm happy to report, was fantastic. He slept on his bed through the night, absolutely no problems. He's been great today. So Saturday, there's another thunderstorm. We're gonna give this a full dose, and please keep your fingers crossed, guys, because the sad thing is that afternoon, this was actually right at I missed half of Lisa's live stream. I jumped in the last hour, and then I had to jump off early because I got a call from my building manager, because a few neighbors had called to complain about the noise that morning, and the people below us said their ceiling was literally shaking. When I tell you this dude Incredible Hulk, like, I mean it. And I feel terrible because I've had horrible noisy neighbors before, and it's infuriating and it's so inconsiderate, and I wasn't even thinking about them when I was going through this. I was just like, how do I get this dog to calm down? And I felt so bad, and I had to apologize profusely. And now that, we kind of have that strike against us, I really need to make sure this works and I can manage him. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to find another foster for him when I don't want to do that because he's so sweet. So keep your fingers crossed for me, guys, this weekend that these sedatives work and he makes it through the storm. And so do I. So it's been a week. It's been a couple of weeks, you know what I mean? And in good ways. There's another surprise I got on Wednesday that I'm saving for the end of this video to tell you guys about. you know, this all has taken up a lot of time, and something that, and I'm not even just talking about Buddy, I mean, something, I've gotten more book coach clients. I've had honestly some exciting things happen that I'm hoping to be able to share with you guys over the next couple of months. It's always kind of difficult, you know, in the book coach / ghostwriting realm. I never know what I'm going to be able to talk about, if ever, but some cool stuff has been going on, and I'm going to tell you about it as soon as I'm able to. And that's been, you know, adding to my schedule a little bit. And as always happens, and I'm sure you guys know exactly what I mean, when we are writing a novel that we do not know if it will ever make us a penny, it's almost always the thing we shift to the back burner first when other stuff has to get put on the stove, you know? And that's, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's how it has to be. Our jobs come first. If you have a day job, obviously it comes first. My work that actually pays my bills comes first. You know, family stuff comes first. Pet stuff, when it's emergency, especially, obviously it comes first. But I try to be very forgiving with myself. I went more days than not since Nano started. I have not worked on my book, and that was definitely not the plan. And I try very hard not to practice negative self-talk in my head and beat myself up, because that is just counterproductive. There's no point to it. And I know I'm doing, well, I was gonna say I know I'm doing the best I can, but you know what? That's the problem. That's not always necessarily true. Okay, so this is definitely not the case for everybody, but for me, sometimes I need a little tough love or a little kick in the pants. Sometimes I need to tell myself, you know what? You're being a little bit lazy. You could have done this today. How many hours did you spend, you know, watching YouTube videos or reading books? You're telling me you couldn't have snuck in 500 words? No, you could have. You could have done it. And I needed to have that little talk with myself. So something that has been really kind of bothering me, honestly, all of 2022 so far, is every time I look at my calendar, every single week, I schedule some kind of video for Tuesday and Friday. And I mean, if you guys have been following this channel for a while, you have probably noticed that I rarely make that goal anymore. And I just looked at my calendar and I thought, why do I keep doing this to myself? It's no different than setting a goal of writing 2,500 words every day in April when I know I have to take this book slower. Why did I do that? Why do I give myself a goal that's going to be really, really hard for me to meet when I could just as easily, this is all arbitrary stuff I'm setting for myself, set a goal of 1,000 words today, and then I can easily complete it. And if I write another 500 or another 1,000 on top of that, it's like a bonus, you know? I'm constantly relearning this lesson. But anyway, the other side of it is, as far as YouTube goes, it's not just that I'm not putting up 2 videos a week. It's that I'm constantly not able to do what I want to do with the videos. Okay, as a viewer of YouTube, and I'm not just talking about AuthorTube, just of anything in general, I am particularly drawn to channels that they might post very infrequently, but when they do, it's like a long, meaty, in-depth video that like really dives into whatever the topic is. And I vastly prefer that to, you know, shorter videos, and especially to short videos, which is why I'm not on TikTok. I don't like short form stuff. I really like long form content. And for me as a creator or whatever, I like making those types of videos the best. My favorite videos that I've made have mostly been in that, in the traditional publishing series, where I just like deep dive research into something and like script it out and organize it and present it to you guys. I like doing those. And the fun bonus for me, those are the most popular videos on my channel, pretty much. So that tells me that you guys like that the most too. And I can't do one of those a week. So I don't know why I kept trying to schedule one for myself every Tuesday when I knew I couldn't do that. And even with these vlogs, I don't mind necessarily the vlogs being shorter, But I'll be honest, all year, all of 2022, every vlog I filmed, I feel like I've just rushed the editing. Every time I finish it thinking, I could do so much more and do something a lot cooler. Oh, I should have talked about this. Maybe I should film this again. But then I'm just like, nope, it's Thursday night. I gotta get this up. This is why I don't understand why I just pick these arbitrary things. I think it's because if you have a YouTube channel and you understand, we feel this pressure to like serve the algorithm, and that means uploading regularly. And I don't know, I think I'm just at a point where I don't really care about the algorithm. It's like, whatever, it's gonna promote it if it wants to promote it. I really just want to take my time and make a little more in-depth videos that I'm really proud of. And so right now, what I have on my calendar is I want to share a video every Friday. It might be a vlog like this. It might be a traditional publishing one. The next one, by the way, is definitely going to be about scammy writing courses, because I put that poll up last week. And guys, I think that was the most comments I have ever gotten on a poll. You guys have opinions on writing courses and whether or not they're scams, and so do I. And I've had this thing half scripted for like 6 months. I want to finish it. So that's going to be the next one you see, that video on this channel that is not a vlog. It's coming. Anyway, so that's just like a minor, I guess, kind of change to this channel. And again, just getting in that mindset of, with things like this where the deadline is not imposed by an external force, I am doing it to myself. Why am I making it this hard? It doesn't have to be this hard. So that's really kind of helped me, I don't know, just in terms of looking at my calendar and feeling like I have the room to spend this time on my book. Because I love YouTube and I love this channel, but I can't start, I will not let it get to the point where I'm prioritizing my videos over my writing. Can't do that. And you shouldn't do that either. And speaking of writing, now we get to the interesting thing that happened to me Wednesday morning. So it's Tuesday morning and I've been working on my book all morning. Can you see that I'm literally shaking right now? And I get an email titled Remittance, and it's from Rights People, which is with my agency Greenhouse, and it's got an attached remittance and royalty statement for the payment being made to me this week. And I look at the royalty statement and it's from Scholastic. So it has all my Scholastic books, The Pros of Cons, Somebody to Love, The Dogs Me Out, and at the bottom, My Other Half, which just came out 4 months ago. And I'm looking at the numbers, and it's typically, this is what my royalty statements look like. My sales are not super high. I've shared this many times, but I have never earned out in advance before. And then I get to the bottom and I look at the numbers for My Other Half. I think I've mentioned in a few vlogs before that this, along with all of my middle grades with Scholastic, this is a clubs and fairs book. And with My Other Half specifically, Scholastic, they don't call it a lead title in clubs and fairs world, but like, you know, it gets special marketing. And I saw they had a book trailer for it, and they were pushing it, which was great. And so on this royalty statement, I'm staring at it, and it says that it has sold a total, and this is mostly, almost entirely clubs and fairs, a little bit trade, a total of 160,000 copies. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, I'm not reading this right. Royalty statements are hard to read. Either that or I'm just really dumb. They're confusing. And Scholastic's more than other houses, to be honest. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this can't be right. And then I see the royalty, the total that I am supposedly being sent. And I'm like, okay, I have this wrong. So I had to email my agency and I was like, I'm seeing things. Can you look at these numbers and tell me what this means? And almost right away, she messages back and she was like, I was wondering if once we flagged these numbers and I wanted to send you a virtual champagne, yeah, this is real. And I'm getting a royalty check that is actually larger than my advance for this book. I don't even know how to handle this. 10 years, guys, 10 years that I've been doing this traditional publishing thing. I've published so many books, never came close to earning out. The advance was always just what I got paid. Royalties aren't even a thing in my brain, really, that's a possibility for me. Like, yeah, shaking. Don't know how to handle this, but I mean, I'm incredibly excited. Also, if you're watching this and you bought a copy of My Other Half or any of my books, thank you. Like, seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't even know what else to say. This is crazy. It's like over an hour later and it only just hit me. I've been focusing on the numbers. I've just never seen numbers like that on a royalty statement of mine before. And it just kind of hit me that, you know, when I do start querying again, when I do start having a book to go on submission again, agents and editors aren't only going to, you know, see failure when they look at my sales records. There's actually going to be something impressive on there. I don't know. This is really hard to process. I can't express how shocked I am by this. It's currently Thursday. It's been a full 48 hours, and honestly, I still have not actually processed that this happened. And I don't know how to, I don't know if I can stress this enough. It's not just the total that's shocking. It's that it just dropped in my inbox, like out of nowhere, completely unexpected. If you had asked me, you know, I knew that they were doing special advertising for My Other Half in clubs and fairs, and I know the power of Scholastic clubs and fairs, and I want to fill you guys in on this. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. I'm glad I remembered. So for those of you who don't know, I mean, if you live in the US, you know about Scholastic clubs and fairs. If you went to, you know, school, which I don't mean that to sound like it did. If you were homeschooled, maybe you weren't as exposed to it. I don't know. But, you know, they set up little bookstores in schools and, you know, give kids forms, and they bring them home and they buy a bunch of books, and the books are printed. They're all paperback, and they're like a cheaper kind of paperback so that they can sell them at a lower price, which means parents can buy lots and lots of books for their kids, which is great. And I want to start by saying this. Number one, Scholastic, obviously Scholastic is a publisher and they do these clubs and fairs, but getting a book deal with Scholastic does not necessarily mean you're going to be in clubs and fairs. And you don't have to get a book deal with Scholastic to be in clubs and fairs. My very, very first book, I Heart Band, came out in 2014, and it was published by Penguin, but it was in Scholastic clubs and fairs. That was my very first subrights deal. And I just have to say, as a side note to you, if you are a kidlit author, okay, I know we all, like, everybody wants a TV and film deal, and I won't lie, I would be ecstatic if I got a TV film deal, but I feel like that is the subright that everybody fixates on way more than foreign rights, and definitely way more than fairs and clubs. Just, people want a TV and film deal so bad, like that's the ultimate dream, that sometimes I just want to be like, why don't you stop writing novels and just start writing screenplays and try to sell them? Because I mean, we're writing books here. Anyway, my point is, if you are a kidlit author, like, and you get a clubs and fairs subrights deal, and you are going to be in Scholastic clubs and fairs, which I will say again, can happen no matter which publisher publishes you, okay? Get excited, because yeah, it's not going to be as big and glamorous as getting a Netflix adaptation, but 160,000 kids might read your book. Like, that's insane. These numbers are insane. I never in my wildest dreams expected this. And that's the second thing I wanted to say is I Heart Band was in clubs and fairs. The Pros of Cons, my YA novel that I co-authored, was published by Scholastic and in clubs and fairs. And then The Dogs Meow and Somebody to Love are my other two Scholastic novels, and obviously they are also in clubs and fairs. And I will tell you this, all of those books, every single one, even I Heart Band, my clubs and fairs sales numbers are significantly better than my trade sales. When I say significantly better, I mean usually doubled or tripled. Like, if I sold 5,000 copies in trade, it was more like 10 or 15,000 in clubs and fairs. So, and that's freaking awesome. And that's why I have advised many authors in the past who were like asking about Scholastic. This is a huge bonus of going with Scholastic, because if you are published by Scholastic, you do have a better chance at being in clubs and fairs. And they just move copies, guys. Again, though, I never, ever, ever, ever thought I would see this book earn out its advance not only so quickly, but so that my first royalty check in my entire life as an author would be triple the advance I got for the book. Never. I mean, honestly, I would have thought getting a film deal, I had a better chance of that. These numbers are crazy to me. I have not processed it. It's crazy. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to say about Scholastic. If you guys can't tell, I'm a fan of Scholastic. And I don't know. Yeah, that's that. And I gotta say, I really hope Lindsay Puckett watches this video, because girl, you're next. I feel like a lot of the times when I talk about my particular journey with traditional publishing, sometimes I feel kind of like Eeyore, you know, like I'm mopey and, oh, my agent left, you know, she retired, and I'm just like not feeling kidlit anymore, and I can't finish this, and I blah, blah, blah. And, you know, there's a lot of lows, right? We know this. If you're going the traditional publishing route, there are a lot of lows. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of, you know, promises that are unfulfilled. But then there are the highs, like when you do get an agent, or when you do get a book deal, or when your first royalty check just drops in your lap out of nowhere and it completely blows your mind. Like, the highs are really high. Anyway, so I know I said it before, but I have to say it again. If you bought a copy of My Other Half or any of my books, honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart. When I say I haven't processed this, I really haven't. I think this is the craziest thing that has ever happened to me in my 10 years of being an author. And it was, I don't know, it was unexpected. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, I'm very, very grateful and excited, and more than anything, shocked. So, that said, I have a lot of other stuff going on right now that I am very much hoping I can share with you guys soon. And I'm gonna keep plugging away at that, you know, Sandstorm, my Nano novel project. And I guess that's it for the updates for this week. Please tell me, now that we're like halfway through Camp Nano, and I'm checking in, please tell me how it's going for you. How are your projects going? Let me know down below. And I will see you next Friday with either a vlog or a very long rant about writing courses and how to tell if one is a scam. And if you have thoughts on that, tell me about those in the comments as well. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Where's your brother? Where's your brother, little weirdo? Why are you sitting like that?